Continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
A crisp, clear night here in Pittsburgh as V-Week in the Big Ten ACC Challenge rolls into the Steel City. The hometown Pitt Panthers out of the ACC taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights out of the Big Ten. You're watching the Big Ten ACC Challenge on ESPN, presented by Continental Tire. Hello, everybody, inside the Oakland Zoo, Petersen Events Center. I'm Chris Cotter alongside hometown hero Dan Bonner here at Pitt. These two teams on the rise. Both teams taking a step last year towards getting to where they want to be, but both these coaches feel like they still have room to go.
Well, they do have room to go, obviously. What has happened is these are teams that have been down recently. They had better years last year. Rutgers, in fact, Sports Illustrated decided that they were the most improved team in the country. Pitt played much better. And now what each coach has done is raise the expectations of the fan base just a little. And now with young teams dominated by freshmen and sophomores, they're trying to take another step forward.
You mentioned how young Pitt is, and Coach Capel told us this morning this team has a hard time really dealing with prosperity. They beat Florida State to start the year, but then they followed that with a loss at Nicholls State.
Well, one of the things that you can consistently count on is that freshmen and sophomores are going to be inconsistent. And so that's just something that the coaches have to deal with. Pitt has not shot the ball well either, and that has been a bit of a problem, although they have a pretty good record.
Yeah, they are 6-2. Rutgers is 6-1. This is the first true road game for the Scarlet Knights, so therein lies a great challenge for them as well.
Well, it is a great challenge, but that's what you have to do. If you're going to get better, you got to go on the road, and when you got to get on the road, you got to play well and hopefully win some games.
Their schedule gets really tough from here on out. We'll talk about that throughout the broadcast. Both these teams led by a lot of guard play, especially their point guards.
Well, guard play is going to be extremely important. Again, two pretty good point guards. Gio Baker, you can see his numbers over the last 6 games. This is a young man who can take the ball and get it into the lane, actually shoot 70% from inside the arc. And Xavier Johnson, he established himself last year very quick with the dribble. He's best when he's attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line. Both of these guys set the tone for their team.
Mentioned Rutgers was 6-1. They beat UMass by 25 on Friday. And Dan, they've already beaten Stephen F. Austin. That's a team you know really well. You called the Stephen F. Austin win at Duke.
Well, it's a game that, Stephen F. Austin came in averaging almost 80 points a game, and Rutgers held them in the 50s. This is a very good defensive Rutgers team. They like to turn you over and get out and run once they get a turnover.
They also, by the way, spread it out offensively. Both these teams are able to do that, led by Gio Baker.
Well, Gio Baker's a guy pretty good with the dribble, can get inside. Ron Harper Jr. is obviously a very good player. Not only do they have balanced scoring, but they're pretty good defensively. Second in the Big Ten in blocks, second in the Big Ten in steals. They're not a great three-point shooting team, although Caleb McConnell, one of the best three-point shooters in the Big Ten, but like everybody else, he can take it and get in the lane.
And they need to make shots. You saw Miles Johnson there blocking shots. He has 13 on the season. Steve Peichel entering his 4th year here at Rutgers. Last year taking a big step, winning 7 league games. He hopes to do better than that here in 2019 and 2020. Our starting lineups for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Gio Baker leads the way at that point guard spot. We saw and talked about Caleb McConnell shooting threes. Montez Mathis also leading a group of 3 guards. Now, Ron Harper Jr., the son of Ron Harper, who has 5 championship rings at the NBA level. Dan talked about his offensive prowess, and then Miles Johnson, the big rim protector on the back end. For Pitt, meanwhile, very similar to Rutgers, they're a team that likes to distribute the scoring.
Well, they're a defensively oriented team. Trey McGowens is a big steal guy. They got 4 guys averaging in double figures. Now, they're not a good three-point shooting team. Murphy right there, you see making that three, is probably their best one. Rebounding is a big key for them, and this is a Pitt team that gets an awful lot of rebounding from its guards, although Eric Hamilton is going to be important in that department. Now, Justin Champagnie, as a freshman, has really stepped up. He has shot very well inside the arc, 67%, although not so well beyond the arc.
Not so well, but he hit 3 threes in their last game in the second half, so maybe he's turning things around. Jeff Capel in his 2nd season here in Pittsburgh, 14-19 overall last year, and just 3 league wins, so clearly he feels like his Panthers can improve on that number. Starting lineups for Pitt: Xavier Johnson at that point guard spot. Also a guard-heavy lineup anchored by Eric Hamilton on the back end. We're underway here at the Oakland Zoo, and they call it that. You can see the fans on the top. They will be loud, boisterous, and active for the entire game.
And Rutgers opens in the man-to-man.
Pitt in the black uniforms. That's Murphy. He's one of their better three-point shooters, and just like that, they get on the board with a three.
Well, it's dangerous to say that. Murphy is one of the better three-point shooters, but he shoots 30% from out there. This is a Pitt team that shoots 25% from beyond the arc. Not one of their strengths so far this season. Pitt also opens in the man-to-man.
Geo Baker now to McConnell. Murphy's on Baker, has the size advantage. Now Baker shoots the three, and he hits it.
Okay, so what do I know?
Take that 5-minute open, and let's throw it in the garbage can, because both these teams have come out to start 1 for 1. That's hot.
Geo Baker shoots 28% from beyond the arc. Shows you what we know.
There's Xavier Johnson. Loves to try and get to the rack. Prolific free throw shooter, and there's Champagnie off the mark early.
Champagnie made 2 threes in the opening game against Florida State. Made 3 in the last game against Northwestern as Johnson picks up a tough foul right there, and didn't make any in between. And so Champagnie now on the season, after missing that 3, is now 5 for 28 from three-point range. And this is the kind of foul that Xavier Johnson cannot afford to get. Just a cheap one. He ran into McConnell and knocked him down. Johnson tends to get fouls, and he's too important to the Pitt Panthers to be sitting over on the bench.
First against Johnson, first against Pitt as a team. That's Harper. Trying to get it down low to Miles Johnson. Now with the pass to Baker. Nice job, and Baker flushes it. Gorgeous play.
Rutgers likes to run a lot of their offense through their post guy, and Miles Johnson is a really good passer. That's his 9th assist on the year, and that's a pretty good number for your post guy.
Here's Hamilton. Got some room. Johnson blocks his shot. Saved by Geo Baker. Here comes Rutgers.
Rutgers on these turnovers and block shots, they like to get out and go.
Baker with a shot fake. Now to McConnell. He's open for 3. Off the mark. Big battle for the board. Won that time by Mathis. Another battle for it, and this time it's Harper who tips it in.
Boy, that's a great job. And if you're a defensive rebounding team, if you give up that first rebound, then it's awfully hard when the other guys just keep jumping at it. You got to get that first one.
McGowens now over to Johnson. Johnson mentioned he likes to get to the rack, and he does this time, but couldn't get the layup to go. Scarlet Knights on the rebound. Here comes Harper.
Boy, that's a great outlet pass.
Harper can't convert. Look at a foul here called on McConnell. Murphy went down hard.
Harper got out, but that was a pretty good defensive play by Pitt to stay between Harper and the basket. And then just another cheap one. That time McConnell commits it.
Yeah, I think they got Harper on that one too. Both of them ran into Murphy.
Rutgers, they play a lot of guys. They play 10 guys, so they have some depth about it.
Here's McGowens. He'll go baseline, gets to the rack and converts.
And McGowens is another guy who can put it down and go. And this is a really difficult matchup for Caleb McConnell, because McGowens not only does do a great job with the first step, but then he protects the ball with his body, and McConnell simply can't get to it. That's one, if you're McConnell, you got to leave that one go. You got beat that time. You don't want to pick up the foul.
McGowens hits the free throw. 7-6, Rutgers on top early.
McGowens now has been to the free throw line 37 times this year.
Johnson again looking to pass. On that high post. McConnell for 3. Off the mark. Rebound to McGowens. He'll look to push.
Nice job by Rutgers to get back. Oh, that's a foul on Terrell Brown. And the officials are actually going to go look now and see if it was a flagrant foul.
Yeah, look at now. Yeah, it's McGowens getting the elbow
now
up and hitting McConnell.
I think they called the foul for an illegal screen on Terrell Brown, but what they're looking at.
They got McGowens on.
Okay, they got McGowens.
Elbow. And that's what they're looking at too.
They're looking to see whether that was a common foul or a flagrant foul. And remember, a flagrant 1, and I don't think that was a flagrant 2. Flagrant 2 is severe. But a flagrant 1 is contact that is excessive and or unnecessary. And, you know, the excessive might apply there. He really whacked him.
Our officials looking at the replay. Jamie Lucky, Lee Cassell, Bill Covington. That's our officiating crew tonight.
You know, they've added some verbiage to that. They've added a couple more adjectives, but the key of the rule is still the same. Excessive and or unnecessary. Not both. You know, keep in mind, and or unnecessary.
Actually, that's actually a very good point to make.
Now, and here's what we're talking about: excessive and or unnecessary, and that's what we're talking about here. It's an offensive foul, so he's not trying to play the ball. He's trying to get around that screen, and he's swinging that arm around.
Yeah, and it looked like he may. Now, what may work in his favor is it looked like he may have been off balance before that elbow even came around, so he was trying to regain his balance in that movement. This is a long review they're taking a look at. Crowd here at the Oakland Zoo getting a little restless. Here's another look at it. Right elbow connects.
Well, now,
and they're having a word with Steve Peichel right now.
And I think if they're having that word with Steve Peichel, they're telling him, no, we thought it was just a common foul. They'd be talking to Jeff Capel if it was a flagrant 1. And I think the point that you made is a good one, that I think they probably felt like there was he was off balance, and now Jamie Lucky looks like he's telling him that he may have been in the cylinder. We'll see. Okay, so the signal that we got, that is actually a foul on Caleb McConnell, because it's called a cylinder play, where you have to give an offensive player his space, and he got right up against him, invaded his space, and he had nowhere to go, did McCown. See there, the space a player may legally occupy is the imaginary cylinder surrounding the player. And obviously it extends, everywhere. But that's the issue, and you cannot get in that player's space and initiate contact. And if you do, the foul is on the player who initiates the contact.
That's complex.
Well,
I get what you're saying, but man, that seems to me to be a little complex.
Well, and that's why
basketball game where you're supposed to get up right in the guy's butt.
No, it's not. The guy is supposed to have some space, and that's why it took so long. Yeah. That's why the review took so long. It was not merely whether it was a flagrant foul or not. It was was he in the cylinder?
Yeah,
they ruled he was.
And the end result is now Caleb McConnell has 2 fouls. He had to take a seat, and Rutgers just picked up another one. And that was on Young, his replacement, who you're seeing right there, the transfer from Texas. Shot doesn't go. Another rebound from Miles Johnson, and we'll get a call here against Terrell Brown.
That time it was against Terrell Brown.
We're figuring it out.
Well, they called the foul on McCowens, but then they decided, no, it wasn't on McCowens, and they gave it to McConnell because McConnell invaded his space and caused the contact.
Terrell Brown guilty of the foul on the rebound. Rutgers with the ball and a 1-point lead. Harper gets free, challenges Brown, moves up to the task. Harper again. Johnson with the follow.
And again, offensive rebounding by Rutgers. That has been a story here early in the game. Pitt not doing a good job on the defensive boards. Rutgers now has a couple of offensive rebounds, and they've been able to convert them.
McGowan's now on Young. Nice look. Brown finishes it up. That was a nice pass that time by Aldis Toney on the baseline.
Well, Toney, you saw the last time shoot a long jump shot. He should never shoot a long jump shot. He's very good taking the ball to the basket, very good close to the goal, and he's a good passer. And Terrell Brown's a guy who can catch it inside.
Baker on Murphy. Now Murphy with the steal. He's going to get a chance to finish it on the other end, and he does.
That's what Pitt wants to do. Obviously, anybody would want to steal the ball and shoot layups, but that's part of Pitt's game plan.
Big part of their game plan. Mathis thought about a three. Now he takes it, hits it.
They're going to look at that. I think they ruled it a 2, but they're going to look at it at the next break.
That sign Bill Covington made. They'll take a look at it. They originally gave him a 2.
I thought his foot was on the line. Mathis is a guy who can shoot it from out there, though. Not a high-volume guy, but he can shoot it.
Murphy took steps, turnover. It'll go back to Rutgers. Scarlet Knights on the road, trying to win their first game on the road away from the rack. They've got a 2-point lead.
This is the Nest Hub Max from Google. It plays live TV, and you can pause it with magic. Ta-da! Un-ta-da! Ta-doff! Ta-don!
Let's do it. Thank you. It's presented by Continental Tire for what you do. Back inside Petersen, Rutgers with a 2-point lead. Montez Mathis, they reviewed this during the break. It was ruled a 2 in real time. Is his foot on the line?
Well, it's too close to tell, and you need clear and indisputable evidence that it was a 3, and that's a really good call by Bill Covington. He's standing right there looking at it, calls it a 2, and then you can't change it because there's not enough evidence to do it. So now, the one thing that Mathis knows for sure is last year that would have been a 3.
That's right, yeah, the line has moved back about 16 inches.
Clearly beyond that white line, which is last year's line. And it remains the women's line, which is why it's there. They didn't keep that line in just so we would know whether it would have been a 3 last year or not.
Rutgers turns the ball right back over to Pitt, trying to get it in bounds.
And when you're a team that relies on your defense, you're a possession kind of team. You can't afford to be turning the ball over.
McGowens, Murphy. Nice fake to get his defender in the air. Couldn't get the shot to go. Tippin won't go either. Tony was there for the tip. But the rebound comes to Rutgers. Good opportunity to see Paul McKay here, the true freshman. They're very excited about highly recruited player right out of New Jersey, number 4. Ball in his hands right now, down low. Johnson. Dubois off the mark.
Dubois is one of those guys who hasn't shot the 3 well so far, but he's a better 3-point shooter than the numbers indicate.
McGowan's out of control. How to get it to Murphy, turned it over.
That's 2 turnovers now for Pitt, and that's one of the problems that both Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowens had last year. A lot of turnovers, and you look at their numbers this year, still too many turnovers by your backcourt. Pitt stays in the man-to-man, very flexible with all the guards that they play. They can switch everything out on the perimeter, and they do.
Mathis cross court to Young, jump stop. Yeboah now again for 3. This time he hits.
Really nice job by Rutgers moving the ball from side to side, and then the dribble penetration by Young draws all the defense down around the basket.
McGowens again trying to get inside, cannot. Johnson just rims it out. Battle for the rebound. That was Hamilton rather on the shot. Big scrum for it. Johnson will take it all the way and finishes.
Xavier Johnson is 6'3", obviously very athletic, a big, strong kid.
All going to go against Young. Thought he had a lane to the basket. It closed too quickly.
He did have a lane to the basket, and Pitt has a very interesting combination inside. This is Eric Hamilton. He just stands there and waits, and you got to be in position before the offensive player leaves the floor, and clearly he was. But Eric Hamilton protects the basket by taking charges. Terrell Brown, who he shares the center spot with, Terrell Brown protects the basket by blocking shots. It's really an interesting dynamic with Pitt's centers.
So a little bit of early foul trouble for this Rutgers team. You mentioned how deep they are, and they will play a lot of players. Both these teams will. But Young has 2 fouls, along with McConnell with 2 fouls. That's a nice move right there by Eric Hamilton.
That's where Hamilton should be shooting the ball. He should take that jump shot and dump it away. He can shoot it from 10 to 12 feet, but he is much better right at the basket. Rutgers has to get Ron Harper and Geo Baker involved in this thing.
There's Geo Baker.
Okay.
Right on cue. This place is kind of loud. How did he hear you all the way over there? 3 for 3 so far. Baker is from the floor, so you're right. When you're shooting like that, McGowens. What a move to get in, just everything but finishing. But then look at the rebound by Tony. Couldn't get the bucket to go, but that was a man's rebound.
It was a great rebound, and the other thing that he did very well was in deep traffic, in heavy traffic, he maintained his pivot foot so he could actually get the shot up and have the foul call.
Tony will shoot 2. That's the 6th team foul on Rutgers. Already we're at the 12-minute mark. Tony hits the first. The 21st annual Big Ten ACC Challenge continues tomorrow on ESPN. Check out these games. Notre Dame facing number 3 Maryland at 7:30. Then 6th-ranked Ohio State squares off against 7th-ranked UNC in Chapel Hill. You can also see both those games on the ESPN app.
Maryland has a really good team, obviously undefeated. Ohio State is undefeated as well.
Ohio State's really good, yeah.
Caleb Wesson did such a nice job remaking his body. He's having a great year so far for the Buckeyes.
And we all know about Cole Anthony, the year he's already having at North Carolina. Well, Cagey, a little out of control, lost his balance, couldn't get the pass to Yeboah. Xavier Johnson. X marks the spot for the Pitt point guard. Panthers trail by 2 early.
The holidays are here, and so is T-Mobile's newest, most powerful signal. And we want to keep you connected to those you love with a new iPhone 11. So T-Mobile is giving you an iPhone 11 on us for each new line of unlimited. For yourself, or up to a family of 4. Keep your family connected and hurry into T-Mobile today to get up to 4 iPhone 11s on us. Only at T-Mobile.
You're watching the Big Ten ACC Challenge on ESPN, presented by Continental Tire. Chris Cotter, Dan Bonner inside the Petersen Events Center, Pittsburgh, PA. Panthers with the ball, down 2 points, but a spirited first half so far.
It's sort of the kind of game we expected, a gritty, grind-it-out kind of thing where the defense is probably going to predominate.
I think both of these coaches realize we're not going to win very many games pretty. We've got to outwork the other team. Tony, a big rebound moments ago. Now hits a bucket.
Boy, almost a turnover there.
A little disjointed. Rutgers in the backcourt.
Rutgers already has 5 turnovers in the game. They get 6.
Johnson will look to push. Doesn't have numbers.
That's a good decision by Johnson. He's a guy who really likes to push.
Trying to come off the screen. Gets in the paint, but doubled. Tony strong. He's shut down. Johnson for 3. Nails it.
Steve Pikel's going to call a timeout. Again, that's a great job getting into the lane and kicking it back to a 3-point shooter.
6-0 run for Pittsburgh. The lead is 3. We'll be back in a moment.
This is the Nest Hub Max from Google. It plays live TV, and you can pause it with magic. Ta-da! Un-ta-da! Ta-doff! Ta-don!
Pitt Panthers leading by 3. Team that has had monumental shooting issues from beyond the arc this year. They're 50% so far.
Well, they played in that tournament in Fort Myers, and in that tournament they were 2 for their first 33 from beyond the arc.
It's laughable because you would think at some point they'd just stop shooting.
And they won that tournament.
Yeah, they won it. Yeah, you're right.
They made 4 down the stretch against Northwestern, and that propelled them to victory, but they've gotten open looks from 3 today, and Jeff Capel has to be very happy that they've made them. But Pitt knows that they can't rely on the 3. They've got to rely on their defense, taking the ball to the basket. On the season so far, Pitt is one of the few teams in the country, and there are some of them, but one of the few teams in the country that has scored more points so far from the free throw line than from beyond the 3-point line.
These Tony guilty of the foul on that last possession.
See, Harper's got to get involved here.
Step back, that'll help.
And that's his game. He's not really a great three-point shooter. He can make it from out there, but he's much better, particularly when he can get you in that mid-range kind of game. He had a lot of room there, no pressure. He was able to take his time and make the turnaround jumper.
Here's Hamilton from outside. Misses that one, battle for the rebound inside, and Yeboah gets it.
I don't have any problem with Hamilton taking that shot at the end of the shot clock, but early in the shot clock, that is not his range and not his shot.
Johnson tried to get it out to Baker, couldn't quite handle the shot. Harper was there, just missed the shot.
And the officials, I think, here might warn Hamilton with a flop.
Hamilton taking a seat.
And I think Hamilton just got the warning for a flop. All right, so Hamilton that's a new rule this year. If you try to fool the official into calling a foul and you flop, you fall over with more force than the contact requires, then the officials are
soccer force.
Right, the officials are going to warn you. That's the first thing. Now, it's a warning that applies to everybody on the team, so the next time that happens, if next time that's called on Pitt, it'll be a technical foul.
Murphy inside with the trees, gets his own rebound and tips it in.
So Hamilton got warned, but the warning applies to the entire team.
Lead back up to 3.
That's where Pitt wants to go, is inside. Here McConnell back in the game.
Yeah, he's got a couple of fouls on him.
He's got to be careful.
Johnson.
Oh my!
Slipped his defense, gets in, and a blocking call against Murph.
And it's a blocking call because Murphy was in the restricted area. The official made the blocking call, and then he pointed at the restricted area. So this is a really nice play. The element of surprise is in his favor, and clearly his feet are on that line, and that means he's in the restricted area. Now, generally, when the official makes that call and points at the restricted area, he is signaling that would have been a charging foul, except he was in the restricted area. So he was in good position. He had position established, but he had his feet on that white line.
Johnson free throw in and out.
That is some dribble move by Johnson. No,
splitting the double team like that. Safe battling his way into the basket.
And that's what Johnson does. He's got the quickness to get by and then the size and strength to score in traffic. That is the best part of his game.
Johnson on Brown just working. Picks up the loose ball, tried to get it to Geo Baker, but it's a turnover.
That was a forced pass. The correct pass was, I think Mathis was the guy open out on the wing.
Johnson was in a little bit of trouble there, losing his balance.
He panicked a little bit.
Yeah.
You can understand that.
He's had a good half, though, 7 points. And Kenny, short. He's been quiet. Now check it, Baker.
A lot of dribbling out on the perimeter by Rutgers. They really need to get that ball inside.
5 to shoot. Young shoots a long one. Johnson battling for the board, but Champagny is there.
Boy, that's a really bad offensive possession by Rutgers.
Johnson picked up his dribble, has to get it to Champagny outside. Now he gets it back.
Rutgers has stayed in the man-to-man.
Young down low, gets pushed. They got Harper on it. Back and forth first half. Panthers up 3 on their home court.
This is the Nest Hub Max from Google. It plays live TV, and you can pause it with magic. Ta-da! Un-ta-da! Ta-doff! Ta-don!
The return of Brandon Knight, now an assistant on Steve Pikel's staff. Had a brilliant career here as a point guard at Pitt. One of just 4 numbers retired in the rafters. An emotional return for him. Got a great standing ovation by the crowd here at Petersen, too.
Well, Pittsburgh is a great sports town, and they remember their sports heroes, and Brandon Knight certainly one of them.
Yeah, to be in that pantheon, to your point, they're sports heroes in town. So a good moment for him, emotional moment, as he's now trying to win this game as a visiting team. Brown hits the first free throw. There's another look at Knight. Moments he had here in this town. Pitt before they were in the ACC, back when they were Big East. Brown hits 2 free throws.
Some of us are old enough to remember when they were in the ECAC. So far in this game, the turnover story is telling. Rutgers has 7. The Panthers only have 2. The Panthers have done the job inside.
Yeah, they've had a clean game. Only 4 personal fouls, too, Dan. So they've played within themselves. And they have the largest lead they've had all night long. Baker get to Yeboah inside of 10 to shoot.
They've been very effective keeping Rutgers out of the lane.
Here comes Young with the teardrop, but no shot. Gets his own rebound, just falls into his lap. Another 20 seconds to shoot for the Scarlet Knights.
And there's Terrell Brown protecting the rim by blocking the shot. Or attempting to block the shot, changing it anyway.
Altering it for sure. Young now inside 10 to shoot again. Yeboah's going to have to force one up. Maybe it'll be Young from beyond the arc. No chance.
And we've seen that a couple times, and that Rutgers cannot afford to do that. They've got to get the ball inside, whether by the dribble or the pass.
Johnson with space and time, but he can't bury the 3 back to Rutgers.
But again, Pitt is not a team that relies heavily on the 3, and I'm not sure they should be attempting them that early in the shot clock.
Mathis for 3. That's off the mark. Johnson will slow things down. Champagny scoreless so far on the night. And yet Pitt has a 5-point lead.
You can see Xavier Johnson really orchestrates things for the Panthers.
Murph had to force one up, but he got the bounce.
Pitt got really lucky here. That pass was almost intercepted, and then Murphy just takes the ball into traffic, into trouble, but has the power and the strength to get it up to the basket.
The well-traveled Ryan Murphy out of Calabasas, California, went to Charlotte, then went to New Mexico JC, now to Pitt.
And I believe he might have had something to say to Montez Mathis after that play, and I think that's what the officials are talking to him about. He just got a warning there, and that's the officials. That's a point of emphasis this year. They don't want any of that yapping going on between players, and they're going to call technical fouls if it happens.
Murph misses the chance for a 3-point play, but Pitt extends their largest lead of the night. Johnson, nothing doing there, but he gets fouled.
Well, the point is, Chris, there was something doing there. You get the ball inside, and he gets fouled. They have to get the ball inside. This is really a nice job. Johnson is very patient. Tony comes down and swats at the ball, but Johnson doesn't let that bother him. The nice turnaround jump shot.
Call goes against Terrell Brown. Opportunity for 2 free throws for Miles Johnson. Misses badly on the first, just barely drew iron. Sunday on ABC and on the ESPN app, of course, we'll have the Lone Star Showdown between Texas A&M and Texas at the new Dickies Arena out in Fort Worth. That's 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central.
Well, Miles Johnson is a poor free throw shooter. Comes in shooting 45%. He's now 0 for 3 today.
Some pressure now. The call will go against Geo Baker.
And the official is signaling again another one of those cylinder plays. You can't get right up on the guy and make contact. And that's what Baker did.
Steve Pikel doesn't like it. See, again, this to me looks like you're setting a trap here.
And he's right up on him. You can't get right up against him like that. He made the contact. He got right up against him, got his hand in there, and then got the hip in there. You have to give the guy some space. You don't have to give him a lot of space, but you have to give him some space. You cannot initiate the contact.
9th foul, team foul against Rutgers. Mathis. Way off the mark, but Johnson is there to put it back.
Johnson is a very good offensive rebounder, and that actually was a little bit unfair. An air ball is always tough for the defensive team.
Murphy for three. Off the back iron. Rebound falls right to him, though, and they'll get 20 seconds left to shoot.
And that was an open three, although Rutgers, I guess it was Mulcahy, came out and put some pressure on right at the end.
Now under 10 for Johnson. Murphy opts to get a better shot and knocks it down.
Murphy missed the last three with Mulcahy running at him, and that time he took advantage of the fact that Mulcahy was running at him, gave him the fake, got an easy shot.
Smart play. Murphy's got 9 points here in the first half.
You get the feeling that this game is starting to slip away from the Scarlet Knights.
Boa, tough shot.
Again, another three.
McGowens pushing it. Spying for the rebound was Johnson. Hamilton guilty of the foul, but look at the rebound.
Well, there was a black jersey that was up over everybody else. Who is that?
That was Hamilton coming over Johnson's back.
You hear the term flying in there? That's exactly what you saw then.
Johnson is not exactly a small body to move out of the way either. Hamilton got on his back. That was a collision. Rutgers down 7. They've gone into an offensive dry spell here over the last few minutes.
Well, Pitt has done a great job keeping them out on the perimeter.
Baker.
And again, there are no passes, just a bunch of dribbling, and finally you pull up and shoot a jump shot. That's not the way to have an effective offensive flow.
Johnson and Tony loses it on the baseline.
Tony was going into traffic. That would have been a tough play.
McConnell initially had a jump shot, but passed on it, then turns it over. Good hustle to go back, though, but it'll be Pitt ball. Panthers up 7 here at the Oakland Zoo.
The holidays are here, and we want to keep you connected to those you love with the new iPhone 11. Hurry into T-Mobile today to get up to 4 iPhone 11s on us, only at T-Mobile.
Big Ten ACC Challenge here in Pittsburgh. Panthers up 7 over Rutgers. Doug Hodges in the house, folk hero here in Pittsburgh.
I'm telling you, we Yinzers love our sports teams, particularly our Steelers, and undrafted rookie free agents who win games, and their name is Duck. You know, that guy. We talked about Brandon Knight being a hero of long tenure, and this guy, he's
on his
new.
way. Yeah.
But
work on the branding.
Why is he wearing a hat with a deer on it? Shouldn't it be a duck on it?
While you're hot, man, utilize that. Rutgers is not hot. They haven't had a field goal in over 4 minutes of game time.
They haven't really had a good shot.
Pitt's used that to forge this 7-point lead. That's going to get a chance to add to it. Mulcahy fouled. McGowens going up. And all the bounces are going Pitt's way right now.
But McGowens, again, is one of those Pitt players, 6'4", 190 pounds. He can get in here, great jump stop, and then he knows he's in the lane. He's got to get rid of the ball, so he has the power to get up and get it over Mulcahy. That's what Pitt does. They get to the line.
And McGowens converts. The lead is 10.
And it's been built on Pitt's defense, keeping Rutgers out of the lane.
And the Panthers will be in the double bonus the rest of the way.
Great pressure on the ball, too much dribbling by Rutgers. And there's an offensive foul.
It's going to go against Shaq Carter. And Steve Pikel's going down his bench trying to find some combination that'll work for him. So An 11-2 run for Pitt, and they have a chance to make it even more.
Thus far this year, though, with the Panthers, they have not handled prosperity very well.
McGowens again in the lane with the bucket.
But that handles it pretty well. You have got to stay in front of McGowens and Johnson. If you allow them to get past you and get into the lane, there's very little you're going to be able to do.
Mathis driving strong on the baseline, breaking that long 5-minute drought for Rutgers.
Well, but what did you see there, Chris? You saw a couple of passes and then a cut to the basket. And Rutgers has to do more of that. Too much dribbling so far in this game by the Scarlet Knights.
Johnson got in trouble. And a breakout opportunity for Rutgers. Mathis going to get fouled by Champagny.
Now, Champagny picked up the foul, but that's a good hustle play to get back there, try to make the play. And there you saw the good and the bad from Xavier Johnson. He gets into the lane, but gets himself in trouble and turns it over. And Champagny did a really nice job getting back. That was a 3-on-1 situation, and he was defending the fourth there, and that's about all he could do.
Preventing the easy bucket. Nick Mathis go right at the line. Makes the first. Sunday, it's the Women's Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona. Notre Dame faces number 4 UConn at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific on ESPN and on the ESPN app.
Those are the first made free throws for Rutgers in this game. And Rutgers, like Pitt, is a team that relies heavily on getting to the free throw line.
Full court pressure here. And they get a 10-second call.
Well, you want to take your time, but again, you can't take too much time. You got 10 seconds. But Rutgers, a little bit of pressure, trying to do something to change the pace of the game. And that expression on Jeff Capel's face is not a happy one.
5th turnover of the game for Pitt.
And when you turn it over, that allows Rutgers, well, not that time because they have to set up the defense, but you get a turnover, that allows Rutgers to get out and go.
Baker turns it over. That's 10 on Rutgers. And an opportunity for McGowens to go all the way, and he does. But Yeboah had great position.
And Xavier Johnson is standing at half court telling Trey McGowens to pass the ball. And that's absolutely correct. McGowens has available options here. It is basically a 4-on-1, and he just runs over Yeboah. So you saw the good of McGowens. He's a great steals guy. He came up with the steal, but then he comes down and he turns it over.
A little out of control there. 8 points is the lead for Pitt right now. Final minute and 20 seconds of this first half. Mathis spins in the lane. He's out of control. Couldn't get the bucket to go, and Johnson couldn't pull the board. Back to Pitt.
Really good defense by the Panthers. Rutgers is trying to get it into the lane, but every time they do, Pitt defenders are right there.
Pitt breaks the press with Murphy. Now they slow it down, get it out to Xavier Johnson.
That's a good decision by Murphy. Don't have to take a tough shot early in the clock. Set it up so you can get an easy one.
McGowens into the paint. Champagny for 3. Off the mark. Johnson with the strong board.
Again, Champagny is a high-volume, low-percentage three-point shooter. He needs to get closer to the basket.
Still scoreless in the first half is Champagny, the freshman from Brooklyn.
Pitt's leading scorer.
Yeah. And yet they continue to lead by 8. Johnson. Another bad pass. Tried to get it to Yeboah.
Steve Pikel's got to be a little concerned. His team has not been very sharp on the offensive end. That's, I think, a bit of miscommunication there. I think Miles Johnson thought Yeboah was going to cut a little more quickly to the basket. And I think what Steve Pikel is telling his guys is, hey, we've turned the ball over, we haven't shot it well, and yet we're only down by 8 points. We're still in this one.
They turned it over 11 times. Pitt has 16 points off those 11 turnovers. Into your point, they're only down 8 here in the final minute of this first half.
Well, you don't have to look very far at the numbers to see what the difference in the game has been. But Pitt also has been attacking. They've been able to attack inside and get to the line and score inside, and that's something that Rutgers has not done very much.
To your point, they've kept Rutgers on the perimeter and forced bad shots.
Well, Rutgers come in shooting only 30% as a team from beyond the arc. And they produce only 22% of their offense from behind the three-point line. An average college team is 28, 29, 30. And so Pitt has forced them into a reliance on that three-point shot. They've attempted 14 of them in this half. Now Rutgers shows a 2-3 zone here to the final possession of the half. Trying to cut down on the dribble penetration.
Johnson for three, tried to draw the foul, could not. Murphy now is going to get a good shot off the back iron. Horn sounds to end the first half. That saw the Pitt Panthers slowly extend their lead to 8 points. After these commercial messages, stay tuned for our halftime report here from Pittsburgh. You are watching the Big Ten ACC Challenge on ESPN, presented by Continental Tire. Just getting set to start the second half. Here from Pittsburgh, Panthers up 8 over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
And the Scarlet Knights have to figure out a way to get the ball inside. As a team on the season coming into this game, they shoot 57% from inside the three-point arc, but they have settled for three-pointers tonight. They attempted 13. And only on 2 other occasions this year have they attempted that many three-pointers in a half. And one of those games was St. Bonaventure, the only game they lost.
Yeah, they lost that game up in Toronto. They're trying to win in their first true road game of the year, but they're going to have to make up an 8-point deficit here in the second half. They've gone through some scoring droughts in that first half, too. One of them over 5 minutes. They didn't score a field goal in the final 2:23 of that first half either.
Well, they're only down by 8. They've shot the ball very poorly. They've turned it over, but yet they're still well within striking distance.
Harper couldn't get himself going in that first half. Baker did, but he's out of control in the lane. Johnson battling for the board, but eventually McGowens comes down with it.
Again, Pitt making it tough, even though Baker's able to get into the lane. Saw McGowens with the rebound. We mentioned the Pitt guards do an awful lot of the rebounding work.
Johnson couldn't finish.
Mathis may have got a hand on that one.
Baker. Had an open look there, passed on it. Johnson down low.
Passed on 2 of them.
For a better one.
Good decisions both times. And we did not see any of that in the first half from Rutgers, that power play on the inside. Pitt moved the ball very well offensively in the first half. They have to continue that in this half.
Murphy, air ball. Hamilton is there to pick it up, though. 3 to shoot for Johnson. He sees it, and he nails the shot.
That's really a big shot. A big shot for Xavier Johnson's confidence.
Johnson has 7. Murphy led all scorers in that first half with 11. He only averages 11 and a half. Foul called on the baseline. Lee Cassell says, no. That was a foul.
This is with the shot clock running down, and you see Mathis has to step back when Johnson gives him that dribble because Johnson drives the ball so well. And if Johnson can make that shot consistently, he might be unguardable. He is so good taking the ball to the basket.
McConnell. Mathis trying to drive the lane. To the right, gets the roll to go.
That's a great job getting the ball in there. Again, another tough shot. I thought McConnell had a chance to get it to Johnson. But Mathis bails him out. That is a tough, tough shot. So now the Scarlet Knights have to dig in a little bit on the defensive end.
Murphy loses it. Here comes Mathis. Challenges Johnson. Putback was Harper. And Rutgers is off to a good start here in the second half.
Well, Champagny actually jumped up there and grabbed the rim, but the ball wasn't anywhere in the neighborhood.
Wow, I thought we might get a whistle on that. Johnson screaming for the ball out on the wing. McGowens goes the other way. Champagny with the shot way off.
Champagny's going to come out of the game. When you shoot a three-point percentage like he's shooting, you just can't shoot them all the time.
And we'll get a foul on McConnell's drive.
Might be the worst thing that ever happened to Champagny is he made those three against Northwestern. Now he thinks he can shoot the three.
You're right, Champagny's going to have a seat. Well, Tony comes in, who had a good first half for Pitt.
Well, just because you're open from three doesn't mean you should take the shot. There might be a reason you're open from out there. And Champagny is so good inside the arc.
Harper gets bumped. Johnson is there for the putback. Stuffs it home.
Harper takes the ball in, and that's what happens when you penetrate. You take the ball in, the defense comes to defend you, and that creates some offensive rebounding opportunities. Great job by Johnson to find the open spot.
Rutgers now on a 6-0 run. Mathis couldn't quite save it. They were down 8 at the half, now just 2.
Well, Mathis, he didn't know who that ball was off. It was actually went off the foot of Xavier Johnson. So if Mathis had let that one go, then I think it would have been Rutgers' ball. And that's what Miles Johnson was telling him. But you can't blame Mathis. He wasn't sure, so if you think he could get it, go get it. Johnson taking a look at the clock.
5 to shoot. Well defended. Shot clock violation. Didn't hit any iron.
When Johnson has to be careful. You remember there's already been a warning given to Pitt for flopping. And he acted like he was fouled, and there was no contact there. The officials would have been well within their rights to call that flop. So the ball's got to move from side to side.
Baker for 3 off the mark. Johnson battling for the board. Put back. Couldn't get the bucket to go, but Johnson is extremely active on that glass.
Now, a little bit of a hurry there. He needed to collect himself. That's a shot you've got to make.
Tony in the corner, back up top to McGowens. Murphy. Down low, no shot on that one. Rutgers is going to try and run.
Nice pass.
Mathis finishes.
Boy, that was a good pass by Baker. And Mathis has now finished a couple of times in this half, and just like that, the game is tied.
And Jeff Capel wants to talk things over with the Panthers coming out in the second half, and it's Rutgers on the road pushing the basketball. Mathis been a big spark plug for him. We're all knotted up.
Hey guys, this is my friend Barry.
Hi.
Unlimited data, Barry?
Ring #1 in customer service by J.D. Power, Barry.
Let me take your coat, you little award winner, you.
Actually, that's my fur. Oh, be careful of the man's fur.
Today's attendance, 19,000 State Farm agents. Go for State Farm.
Who do you play for, Mahomes?
State Farm.
Who?
State Farm.
One more time. State Farm. Wake up.
And that's when I always wake up. What does it mean?
Clearly it means you should combine your home and auto with State Farm.
It's a weird interpretation.
Both Rutgers and Pitt have had their cold stretches offensively. Panthers in the middle of one right now. Since the 2:35 mark of the first half, they've just hit 1 field goal, and Rutgers has come out a house of fire here in the second half. They were down 8. Now they're tied.
Rutgers has not turned the ball over in this half, and they've taken the ball inside. You see that 8-0 run. It's keyed by them getting the ball into the lane.
And they've turned up the defensive pressure, too, here in the second half. McGowens over to Xavier Johnson. McGowens, a long 3 off the mark. Harper with the rebound.
Boy, that was a long 3. Now, McGowens is a capable three-point shooter, His percentage doesn't really reflect it this year, but he can make them. I'm just not sure that you want to take one that long, that early in the shot clock.
Mathis has been a real spark plug for this team here in this run. Harper fading away. First lead for Rutgers since the 12:02 mark of the first half.
And that is Harper's game. Get into the lane, jump up, and hit that little turnaround. Pitt looking for some offense now.
McGowens knew he had McConnell out of position. He took it to the basket.
When McGowens and Johnson decide they're going to the basket, they're very hard to stop. And there Xavier Johnson picks up the foul.
Geo Baker guilty of the infraction. All knotted up here in Pittsburgh.
Hey guys, this is my friend Barry.
Hi. Unlimited data, Barry?
Ring #1 in customer service by J.D. Power, Barry.
Let me take your coat, you little award winner, you.
Actually, that's my fur. Oh, be careful of the man's fur.
Today's attendance, 19,000 State Farm agents.
Go for State Farm. Who do you play for, Mahomes?
State Farm. State Farm.
One more time. State Farm. Wake up.
And that's when I always wake up. What does it mean?
Clearly it means you should combine your home and auto with State Farm.
That's a weird interpretation.
Join ESPN and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. Visit v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for cancer research. And the story of former Pitt running back and current Steelers star James Conner epitomizes victory over cancer. We all know his story. Came to Pitt as a star running back, really exploded on the scene in 2014. Then he injured his knee while he was rehabbing, diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Of all the dates we're showing on the screen, this one right here, May 2016, that's the most important one of them all. Cancer in remission. Drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, his hometown. He's had a great NFL career, and we certainly do tip our cap to James Conner in the battle against cancer. V-Week here, very important for all of us here at ESPN. Rutgers has battled back here in the second half to tie this game. Foul on McGowens as he went up for the jumper. He'll shoot two.
That's a really good move by McGowens. You drive the defender off and then rise up for that jumper.
McGowens hits the first. Pike will go into his bench. Going to bring in Jacob Young. Caleb McConnell will have a seat. Pike still having a word with the officials about the coach's box during the entire timeout. McGowens hits both free throws. Pitt back on top.
And that's one of the things Pitt has to do. If they're getting to the free throw line and scoring from there, they're generally moving pretty well, and so they've got to create those foul opportunities.
Geo Baker started this game 3 for 3 from the floor. He's 0 for 3 since. Harper now, he's picked things up a little bit in the second half. Quick hands by Johnson with the steal. He'll have an opportunity to finish, and he does.
That was a great play by Trey McGowens. He got the steal and then avoided the travel and making a tough pass. Boy, that was a nice play.
Now Pitt trying to get the crowd here at the Oakland Zoo into it. Baker short on the three.
Well, you can see how valuable the Pitt guards are in rebounding the ball.
Quickly, McGowens. He's starting to turn it up a little bit here in the second half. And just like that, the lead 6.
Now McGowens is a guy who can get hot. And how is Pitt doing this? They're doing this with tough defense, creating turnovers, taking off defensive rebounds and running down the court.
McGowens with the steal and then the foul on Geo Baker.
That was McGowens' 5th steal of this game. And McGowens just steps in front of Baker's got to be tougher than that. You can't wait for the official to bail you out. When you see McGowens coming like that, you got to drive forward with the ball and force contact, and he didn't do it. He backed off, and McGowens took it from him.
Quick timeout here by Steve Pikel just to talk things over. Rutgers made a big run at the start of the second half to tie the game. They were down 8 at the break, but just like that, the Panthers now have a 6-point advantage in the ball.
Well, what a great response by Pitt, though, and it was a response defensively.
Rutgers was on a 10-0 run. Pitt ended that 10-0 run, and they've gone on an 8-0 run themselves. What was it that Coach Capel told us at shoot-around this morning? Sometimes he has to be a psychiatrist with this young man. Maybe he found the right formula there while his team was lying on the sofa there in the office.
Whether your team is a young team or an old team, coaches all have to be psychiatrists.
McGowens now. Johnson fakes the three in the corner to Murphy. He hits.
Rutgers went to a zone to try to cut down on that dribble penetration, but they still got enough penetration, did the Panthers, that they were able to create that opening from 3.
This time McGowan's a little too tight on Young, and he picks up the foul.
Now McGowens is a very physical player. Drives in, has 2 defenders covering Xavier Johnson, and so he knocks it down. And that's, as he drove in there, you could see very clearly 2 players went with Xavier Johnson, and that left Murphy all alone.
And Murphy, who was the leading scorer at the half with 11, hits his first field goal, 3 here in the second. He's got 14. Now McGowens is going to get a little bit of a break. He's got 3 fouls, so we'll see how long he sits in the 12:35 mark. Quick one here on Champagny.
Boy, Champagny, it's just really been tough for him all night.
He's got 3 fouls and scoreless on the night.
Well, I think if he shoots another 3, he better make it, or they're going to send him to the locker room.
Okay, he gets the ball in bounds. He's trapped in the corner. Got it out to Carter. Skip pass over to Young.
Well, Young missed an opportunity. McConnell was open in the corner.
Okay, he had to force it. There's Champagny with the board.
Young made the wrong decision. He passed it to his right when he should have passed it to his left.
Johnson! That was the right decision.
This is a big possession for Rutgers. The game's starting to get away from them.
Boa, that's a nice move. Wow. Xavier Johnson flushing it home. Panthers on a big run.
Hey guys, this is my friend Barry.
Hi. Unlimited data, Barry?
Ranked #1 in customer service by J.D. Power, Barry.
Let me take your coat, you little award winner, you.
Actually, that's my fur. Oh, be careful of the man's fur.
Today's attendance, 19,000 State Farm agents.
Go for State Farm. Who do you play for, Mahomes?
State Farm.
Who?
State Farm.
One more time. State Farm. Wake up.
And that's when I always wake up. What does it mean?
Clearly it means you should combine your home and auto with State Farm.
It's a weird interpretation.
Pitt was on a 13-0 run before Yakwasi Boa ended that for Rutgers. Still a big advantage for the Panthers. Dick Groat in the house.
Well, we're talking about Pittsburgh heroes. Dick Groat is one of them. You see an All-American at Duke, and then famous here in Pittsburgh as the shortstop on the world champion Pittsburgh Pirates in 1960. Was on a world championship team with the St. Louis Cardinals in '64, and you can see the Pitt radio analyst for 30 years.
Multi-sports star. That's a seat right there in the middle, by the way.
Right, Bill Hillgrove on the right of the screen and Curtis Aiken on the left. And they have left a chair in between them for Dick Grote.
Anytime Dick Grote wants to come on the broadcast, I'm sure he's welcome. Yeboah completes the three-point play to stem the tide, at least temporarily, for Rutgers.
Actually, that's 40 years, not 30 years, as the Pitt radio analyst.
Great look. Great look by Johnson to find Tony for the bucket. Young got down low. Here's Baker for three. Misses. Johnson head up. But nice shot by Baker back on defense to steal.
A good job by Tony to slow Baker down.
Ball thought about it from the corner.
Again, I think you got to take the ball inside.
And he does just that. Called for traveling. Thought they might get Brown for leaning on him and forcing him to move that pivot foot, but they got Yeboah for taking steps.
He didn't complete it. He didn't execute it very well, but he had the right idea. And here Rutgers now with some pressure. Murphy thought about it, didn't he?
Deep.
I think Jeff Cable might have not grabbed him if he did.
He was doing it right in front of him.
Now, you got to be further away from your head coach if you're going to pull the trigger on that one.
The lead is 10 right now as we're under 11 minutes here in this second half. 3 to shoot. Murph might have to put one up. He does. Just off the mark. And Johnson was skying for the board. Brown over his back.
That's just sort of a giveaway foul by Terrell Brown. I mean, sometimes I know you want to battle in there, you want to fight for the rebound, but when you're in a bad position, you don't complicate matters for yourself by committing a foul.
That's the 6th team foul against Pitt here in the second half.
And they're going to get the rebound anyway. Let them have it. Run back down and play defense. Don't commit a foul.
McConnell, who has the ball in his hands here, picked up 2 quick fouls in this game. He's been held off the score sheet. Yeboah, he's going to drive and get the bucket and get the foul too.
No, they called that an offensive foul.
Yeah, they did.
I think that's a pretty good call. I think he was outside the restricted area, but that's the second charge like that Hamilton has taken today. Boy, he does a great job getting outside the restricted area. But we said Terrell Brown protects the basket by blocking shots. This guy protects the basket by taking charges.
Yeboah was surprised at the call, but it goes against him, and it goes in favor of Pitt.
But look at how clever Xavier Johnson is maintaining that contact scene. If he can pick up a foul, that's a travel.
Champagne got caught, tried to reverse, got called for steps.
Xavier Johnson stole one of those fouls earlier. Wasn't able to do it that time. And Rutgers is still in it. They have to settle down a little bit on the offensive end, take better shots. You know, they made their run when they got the ball inside and they didn't turn it over.
Baker now hung up. Gets it down to Harper on the baseline. That is a tough shot.
But he can make those shots. That is his shot. Pitt has done a nice job preventing Harper from catching the ball too many times in the areas where he's most comfortable. That's really one of the keys to playing defense. You don't have to keep the ball away from a guy. You got to keep the ball away from him in his scoring areas.
He's got 10 points now, Harper. Murphy gets a little bit of space. Off the mark, Johnson battling for it. Harper picks it up.
That was really good defense by Baker.
Young just got hung up, tried to get it to Johnson, couldn't.
They're fortunate to keep the ball.
McConnell gets fouled, driving to the paint.
We talked about the Pitt Panthers being a team that likes to get to the free throw line. Rutgers is the same way. And they just haven't been to the line much tonight. And one of the reasons is because they have stayed out on the perimeter. That was about the most aggressive play we've seen from McConnell all night long.
seat McConnell. This is the front end.
Boy, those kind of free throws are hugely important. And Rutgers, they're a better free throw shooting team this year than they've been in recent years, but still they're not topping the charts. Only shoots 65% as a team coming in.
Leaving opportunities to dig into this 8-point deficit out there.
He missed the front of the 1-on-1. That's almost the same thing as a turnover.
Johnson up in the air. Couldn't get it to go, but gets fouled by McConnell.
And that's what he does. He draws fouls. Made 157 free throws last year. That's almost an impossible figure to even consider. Led the Atlantic Coast Conference in made free throws as a freshman. Now, he has not shot free throws at a high rate, a high percentage this year as he did last year, but still early in the season.
21st annual Big Ten ACC Challenge continues tomorrow on ESPN with Notre Dame facing number 3 Maryland at 7:30. Then 6th-ranked Ohio State squares off against 7th-ranked North Carolina in Chapel Hill. An opportunity to see Cole Anthony again. You can also see both of those games on the ESPN app. Johnson hits both free throws.
Opportunity for everybody to see Anthony Cowan from Maryland, who has had a couple of great games. One of the top point guards in the Big Ten and in the country.
Amazing player. Young tried to go up. Hands again by Pitt.
Forcing it in traffic.
Johnson initially wanted to go up top to Tony. Thought better of it. Lays it off nicely to Hamilton.
What a play by Xavier Johnson.
Johnson has taken over. Beautiful dish to Hamilton. Panthers up big.
Hey guys, this is my friend Barry.
Hi. Unlimited data, Barry?
Ring #1 in customer service by J.D. Power, Barry.
Let me take your coat, you little award winner, you.
Actually, that's my fur. Oh, be careful of the man's fur.
Today's attendance, 19,000 State Farm agents.
Go for State Farm. Who do you play for, Mahomes?
State Farm. State Farm.
One more time. State Farm. Wake up.
And that's when I always wake up. What does it mean?
Clearly it means you should combine your home and auto with State Farm.
It's a weird interpretation.
And Xavier Johnson, my goodness, what a game he's had. He's played under control. He's done his job attacking the basket. He's gotten out in transition. Couple of dunks, step back jump shots. You know, you don't have to be a great three-point shooter to impact the game, and he did make a three today. But he's got 15 points in the game. He's got 5 assists. You can see there's 6 of 10 from the field. He's taken good shots. He's played under control.
He and McGowens have really turned it up on the defensive end, too. Harper stepping back. That's an air ball.
That's good defense by Tony. Yeah, McGowens has 4 steals. Johnson has 2 steals.
Just that. Look at Harper paddling down low. I'm going to call. It'll go against Pitt.
And Jeff Capel is telling Xavier Johnson, why do you do that? That's just a young man who's playing pretty well and thinks, okay, I can make this shot. That's not a good shot, even if he makes it. It's too early in the shot clock for a team that's been doing pretty well moving the ball around. And there's a foul on the rebound.
Yeah, Trey McGowens with the foul.
So McGowens picks up 4 fouls.
So Champagne's going to have to come back in here, Dan. And McGowens was just taking a breather. Comes back in, picks up number 4.
When that whole thing starts, when Xavier Johnson takes a shot he shouldn't take.
Harper hits the first.
And Rutgers, that's only free throw attempt number 8. And they're only 4 for 8, so they haven't been to the line many times. They haven't converted when they've gotten there.
Harper gets the deficit back down to 10. Champagny, the freshman, now back in for McGowens. Xavier Johnson bringing the ball up court.
Move the ball and get it inside.
Murphy tried to get it to Hamilton, tipped. Hamilton eventually got it, but a big block by Harper.
That was the right idea. That ball barely got over a couple of fingertips here. In fact, Johnson may have gotten a fingertip on it. That's what slowed Hamilton down, and Harper makes a nice recovery.
Harper was aided by the backboard. Johnson trying to cut off. Johnson gets called for the foul.
And that's the other thing Xavier Johnson does. He gets fouled. He really puts pressure on the defense.
Oddly enough, Steve Pikel was worried this morning about Miles Johnson getting into foul trouble. That's his first of the night. Hamilton looking to pass up top to Murphy. Inside of 10 to shoot. Murphy out of control, off the mark. And this one's going to go against the Panthers.
Got a rebounding foul inside.
Capel wants an explanation. We're all looking for an explanation.
Jeff Capel's closer than us. Oh, they've called an offensive foul on Ryan Murphy for kicking his leg out.
During the shot.
Yes, and you're not allowed to do that. See, he kicked his leg out and created contact where there would not have been contact. Geo Baker hit his leg, but Geo Baker would not have hit his leg had Murphy not kicked the leg out.
That's a technical foul.
Well, and it's a technical foul, but it is a one-shot technical foul because this is a flop. That's what it was. They called it as a flop. He's faking getting fouled. So they did not call an offensive foul on him. They called a flop on him, and since Pitt had already had a warning, then it's a one-shot technical foul. Class B technical foul, you call that.
Much like Coach Capel, the crowd here at the Oakland Zoo displeased. Here you see both Capels.
And now they're trying to figure out who gets the ball.
Coach Capel will bring his team over to have a word with him while they've got a moment, while the officials are figuring this out.
Well, it's you shoot the technical foul and then you go back to the point where the game was interrupted. So he flips the leg out, and he falls down, faking getting fouled. So that is not a foul. I misspoke. That was not an offensive foul on Murphy. It was a flop.
Technical foul. The board was pulled by Tony. Lucky is going to have another word with Coach Pikel. So Bill Covington, one of the officials, explaining to us that when the technical was called, there was no possession.
See, and that's actually a mistake in administration. You're not supposed to.
Johnson has a lot of time from the corner, and he knocks down the three.
Boy, he's having a big game.
Coach Capel talked about his team not being able to handle adversity or not being able to handle prosperity. Well, they're handling it here tonight because every time Rutgers makes a move, this team does something like that. The block shot. Champagny. He gets his shot blocked, and Rutgers tries to go the other way. Then Matthews will convert.
Got going a little bit too quickly. And I made a mistake there. if it's the first warning, you're not supposed to blow the whistle until the play is over. But on the second play, you blow the whistle right away. And so since there was no possession at the point that the whistle blew, they had to go to the alternate possession era.
So Pitt had the basketball at that point.
The ball was actually in the air when the whistle blew, so there was no possession.
5 seconds to shoot for Johnson. Tried to go up top to Champagne. It's another turnover.
And that's one thing Xavier Johnson does. He can turn it over sometimes.
Mathis from the corner after a nice look. Johnson just loses the ball out of bounds. Strong rebound.
Miles Johnson is a really good offensive rebounder without really being a high jumper. You know, he doesn't get very far off the ground right here, but he can't control the ball. It flies right out of his hand as he's taking it back up.
That's trouble for Murphy.
That is a big turnover. Rutgers had the chance, if he's able to get that to go in the basket, to cut it to 8, and instead Pitt gets the ball back, and then you have a foul, and Pitt now is going to go shoot 1-on-1.
Upoa guilty of the foul. His third foul.
Well, you're getting to the point where you have to change the tempo of the game. You got to increase the pressure, and Upoa, you don't want to commit a foul in the backcourt like that, but he's trying to pressure.
Murphy hits the first.
Pitt has shot the ball very well from the line tonight.
Murphy's outstanding night continues. He has 15. 11 of them came in the first half. And Pitt was able to forge an 8-point lead. Rutgers came back to take the lead in the second half as the second free throw goes wanting. But since then, it's been all Panthers.
So 18 for Johnson, 15 for Murphy, 14 for McGowens.
Out of the lane, up and under. Well, he struggled tonight.
Really good defensive work by Murphy.
McConnell again, this time for 3. Off the mark. Hamilton pulls the board.
Well, now if you're Pitt, you don't want to take the foot completely off the gas, but you want to make sure that you get a good shot. You want to continue to play aggressively.
There's Tony in the corner. 5 to shoot. Johnson got free.
Oh my goodness.
What can you say about that move and shot? Baker's trying to answer. Diabo in the corner for 3. He knocks it down. Pikel wants a timeout to talk things over. Great answer by Uboa, but what a move by Xavier Johnson. Caleb McConnell is going to want to forget about that. Xavier Johnson says, "It's my house."
Hey guys, this is my friend Barry.
Hi. Unlimited data, Barry?
Ranked #1 in customer service by J.D. Power, Barry.
Let me take your coat, you little award winner, you.
Actually, that's my fur. Oh, be careful of the man's fur.
Today's attendance, 19,000 State Farm agents.
Go for State Farm. Who do you play for, Mahomes?
State Farm. State Farm.
One more time. State Farm. Wake up.
And that's when I always wake up. What does it mean?
Clearly it means you should combine your home and auto with State Farm.
It's a weird interpretation.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Continental Tire, for what you do. Pitt leads by 10 here in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. 4:22 mark of the second half. Students here at the Oakland Zoo enjoying this one. Pitt, as we mentioned, just 3-15 in conference play last year in the ACC. So coming into this year, Coach Capel wanting to better that mark, and this team is on their way. They'll begin ACC play, by the way, in earnest at Louisville next. Welcome to the conference play, Pitt. Murphy's off the mark. Baker's going to try and take it all the way. Leaves it for Johnson, who connects.
Johnson has been very active inside tonight. He's now got 12 points to go on with 12 rebounds.
Full court pressure by Louisville. Baker almost with the steal, and good hands by my partner.
Self-defense.
Reminds me of your days back in Louisville. Champagne now with the inbounds. He's had a tough night, the freshman from Brooklyn.
Champagne, of course, when you're a freshman, you're going to have some tough nights.
Yeah.
He's been in foul trouble all night. Has missed all 6 of his shots. See, and Pitt is a hard team to come back on at the end of a game because Xavier Johnson keeps the ball, and if he gets fouled, he can make free throws.
Hamilton gets the offensive board. They'll have 20 more to shoot.
Well, Hamilton has had an outstanding game. He's only scored 4 points, but that's now 8 rebounds. He's got an assist. He's got a steal. He's been credited with 3 blocked shots, and he took 2 charges.
Gets in the lane. Tony up in the corner. Knocks it down. That is a killer blow.
Well, particularly coming from a guy who was 1 for 10 from beyond the arc coming in.
As we've mentioned all night long, Pitt has just not shot the ball well from beyond the arc all season long as a team. They've done much better tonight. Baker open for 3. Misses. Johnson is there, though.
Johnson has been doing work all night long.
He has 12 points, now 14 points and 13 rebounds. And a steal by Rutgers. Harper!
Well, that was a good decision by Murphy to get out of there. Rutgers doing a nice job. They've cut it to 7. Pitt getting a little bit sloppy. And what did Jeff Capel tell us this afternoon? That sometimes his team can't stand prosperity. So now if you're Rutgers and you're going to let the clock run down like this, you don't want to foul at the end of the shot clock.
Hamilton, boy, he's knocking down that shot. They're tough to defend. Tonight after Duke, Michigan State, stick around for SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. You'll have Big Ten ACC Challenge reactions, plus Bad Beats Leftovers, the college basketball edition. And Tim Legler breaks down the NBA's best performances of the night. SportsCenter with SVP. After the Big Ten ACC Challenge doubleheader on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Lead back up to 9, 2:05 remaining.
Really impressed with the job that Hamilton has done inside for the Panthers tonight. They don't need him to score a lot of points. They need him to defend. They need him to rebound, and that's exactly what he's done. And here's the basis of the offense. Xavier Johnson, Trey McGowens, Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, rest of the team just doing, to your point, what they need to do. I mean, Hamilton has 6 points, but he has those 8 rebounds to go with him.
Well, and again, he has 3 blocked shots. He took 2 charges that resulted, obviously, in turnovers. He has an assist. He has a steal. Can't ask much more of that from Eric Hamilton. Panthers now showing a zone. All this is trying to make Rutgers stop, spend a few seconds.
Harper way off the mark.
That's not Harper's game.
Johnson pulls the board and he'll look to run clock.
So you got a foul now, but it's hard to foul Xavier Johnson.
Tony with the ball in his hands. Rutgers will look to foul him, and they do.
Tony came in a 70% free throw shooter. He's 1 for 2 from the line tonight. The guys who are out there, the 2 worst free throw shooters are actually Hamilton and percentage-wise so far this year, Xavier Johnson. But I certainly wouldn't want to put Johnson on the line.
Tony hits the first. Panthers 11 of 15 from the free throw line tonight. both of them.
Tony's had a solid game tonight, too. With Champagny struggling, Tony came off the bench and gave him a little spark.
Bowen misses. Johnson to get another rebound. Baker tried to line up a three, but McGowens got out there on it.
Johnson has 8 offensive rebounds tonight.
Nice outlet. McGowens does chase it down and hits the bucket.
Another turnover, and the turnovers have plagued Rutgers all night long.
Yeah, Baker tried to force a pass that time. Now it's desperation time for the Scarlet Knights. Mathis thought about it. Now he drives. Good shot with the right.
When Rutgers had that little spurt to take the lead, it was Mathis who was the key guy, but
now no choice but to foul Xavier Johnson. Under a minute left to play, down 11.
Again, Johnson is the guy who's going to have the ball in his hands. Still a 1-on-1. And again, coming in, Xavier Johnson shooting free throws at a level well below his career at less than 65%. Made both of his attempts tonight so far, though.
Short on the front end. Okay, he got up. Baker off the mark. Harper's going to try a three. Way off. Johnson battles for the board. Wants to get it out to Baker for another three.
And now step on the line. But at this point, Rutgers has no choice but to try to launch those threes. And that's a desperation play, but they're down 9. Or excuse me, down 11.
Yeah. And now Pike is called off the Dogs with under 20 seconds left to play.
Shot clock is off. Really good effort by the Pitt Panthers.
Rutgers made a couple of runs. Pitt was there to answer with runs of their own. And now here in front of the fans of the Oakland Zoo, Jeff Capel and his Panthers get win number 7 on the season. Xavier Johnson had a heck of a game. Rutgers has improved, though. They'll be back. Their schedule gets really tough. Speaking of tough schedules, man, Pitt has got to go to Louisville on Friday, but they get a win tonight in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. 71-60, our final score for Dan Bonner and our entire crew. I'm Chris Cotter. Coming up next, ESPN 30 for 30, Survive and Advance.